Hi guys and welcome to Fandom Newbie. My name is Shruti and today's video is another episode of In Conversation With. In today's episode, we're going to be talking to Anjali Joshi, who is the author of a new thriller book called Raptor Rising. Now, this book basically follows an alpha female serial killer who kills people, records herself while she is killing them, and uploads those videos for money on the dark web. This book was extremely strange, it was captivating, it was dark, it was twisted, and it was a page turner. Like, I finished this book in just about 2 days because I could not put it down. And so I was really excited to sit down with Anjali and talk to her about how she conceptualized this extremely strange and dark plot and how she also came up with these really twisted characters. So I hope you guys enjoy this conversation. If you guys want to buy Raptor Rising, then I'll leave the links down in the description. You can check it out on Amazon, Flipkart, as well as Snapdeal. And also it's available in all bookstores around the country. So definitely check it out if you guys are interested. And now let's jump straight to the interview. Thank you so much, Anjali, for joining me on my channel. I've actually read your book and I enjoyed it a lot. It was really extremely gripping and I had a really fun time. I read it over like 2 days and it was so much fun to read your book. Firstly, maybe if you'd just like to introduce yourself, who you are and what you do.
Hey Shruti, thank you so much for having me. It's really nice to be here. I'm so glad you enjoyed the book, and 2 days is pretty rapid reading. I had a ball writing it. It's a story that I have developed over a period of almost a decade, and then gotten down to actually writing it. I do write professionally. I'm a filmmaker, so at different points of time, I have worked on scripts, screenplays, dialogues, and I'm a designer, visualizer also.
Right.
So I think all that has just dovetailed into the way I have written the book and the way the story has developed.
Yeah, you mentioned that you're a filmmaker, and I think that especially for anyone who has read this book, you can kind of see that it reads like a movie. How did this entire thing come to you? Did you actually picture it like how you were picturing a movie, or how did this story come to you?
The way I express is naturally very visual,
Yes.
So it's an unconscious thing for me.
Yeah.
I usually create a setting, an ambience for every chapter that happens. I usually go through a whole process of creating the whole story and defining the characters in my head before I write down the very first line,
Yeah.
So since I carry it in my head for a long time, I guess I see it because I don't have a written word. I have the impressions of the visualization that I'm carrying in my head to move the story and to move the characters forward.
The thing that I noticed when I was reading the book was firstly that it's in present tense, so it kind of really immerses you into that whatever is happening, the scene that's happening. And one of the things that I really enjoyed, I mean, this may sound very morbid, but what I really enjoyed reading was, since this is a thriller book, or all the almost hauntingly poetic way you've described the murders that take place. It was really it was very gripping to read that aspect, and it really puts you in the mind of the murderer or just the entire scene. What made you think about firstly murders like that, and what made you think about this kind of plot basically?
So what I took up as a challenge in my way of writing and narrating a story or expressing the story is to shift gear between the profane and the profound and back to the profane in a matter of a para. So the book is about an alpha female killer whose method of killing is snuff. Snuff is when the kill happens during the act of sex. I use sex as a scalpel to pry into the human mind.
Yes.
And there is this boiling brew of emotion, instinct, intention that is so good in terms of how it allows you to define a character.
Correct.
And at that point of the kill, it is it's very critical because it it lifts the kill from being some kind of a grisly murder
Correct.
into becoming something that is poetic, which I think is the reason why what you said about finding the macabre beautiful is a feedback that I'm getting, and it's what I was actually. That was one thing that I worked on integrating into the story.
The most interesting aspect that I found in the book, and the fact that your killer is a lady, alpha female, like alpha lady serial killer, is something that you don't generally see in pop culture. You don't see anywhere, even on like true crime shows, anywhere. You don't generally see the focus being an alpha female serial killer. So how did you develop such a character?
See, what happens is how you see morality, how you see right and wrong, depends on the time and era, civilization, society that you belong to.
Right.
And how people perceive you, what people perceive as right and wrong is again comes from the environment that one is in.
Right.
So a person who would probably get respect and acceptance in one era or in one kind of a society would get labeled as an assassin or a killer in another.
Yeah.
So that was something that I found very interesting, that though the morality and the code of ethics that we as society accept as universal keeps shifting. Everybody has a predator within them. Every character in the book has a predator within them.
Yeah.
And that predator it rises, it falls. It's like a tide, depending on what they find themselves in. It rises, it falls, it rises, it falls. There is no good guy, there's no bad guy. Everybody is good, everybody is bad. There are no grays. And actually, that's where the name Raptorizing came from, because a raptor is a predator.
Right.
And in the book, every character, big or small, has a predator within, which surfaces at some point or the other.
Right.
It's not like they're always predatory in nature, but it is a part of their character being.
No, but that's something that's very interesting that you said about how all of us have that kind of predatory instinct in us. And you're right. Like, I mean, I didn't notice this. I mean, there were two characters where it was obvious in your book where you were trying to kind of talk about it. But now looking back, you're right. Everyone in the book has something about them, which is kind of like that predatory instinct in them is rising. And that's very interesting now looking back at that. So going back to actually the serial killer in the book, you don't justify why she does what she does in the book, because she is who she is, and this is kind of maybe either her way to deal with things or to regain some kind of control. But one thing that I liked also that you did in the book is that for one of her kills, I won't call them victims, but for one of her kills, you do kind of see the other side, where you say that, oh, that person was someone's father, brother, someone's relative. And I like that you kept that balance, because at the end of the day, even though you don't feel sorry many times for the people who are killed in the book, they still are human beings. So was that like a conscious decision that you took, even though you were making an unapologetic kind of alpha female character?
It's interesting that you should have noticed it, because it was engineered that way.
Yeah.
See, what is essential is empathy. Yeah. Empathy for the extreme, basically speaking. Now, if you are going to empathize with a woman who is a cold-blooded killer, she does it in an extremely she's skilled She's intelligent, she's disciplined,
Yeah.
and she goes about it with the precision of a warrior.
Correct.
She takes on. There is no victim when she decides
Yeah.
on a certain person whom she wants to be her next kill. It is usually a person who is stronger than her,
Yeah.
and who could at any time flip. So
Right.
she is not playing safe at any, which is why I feel that she is perceived, or the story is perceived in this manner, because
Yeah.
she is putting herself at risk
Yeah.
totally every time she goes and kills. At any point of time, she is fully vulnerable to be the victim instead of being the predator.
Correct.
Which I think is the original, is a very original concept.
Yeah.
That this is not a psychopath who's looking at victims who can be cornered, and
Yeah.
there is no upper hand that she has over here. One of the principles by which she is guided is that the opponent should be your match or more, never less.
Right.
So since she is doing that, uh, the each person, each victim who comes into play, they too have their own world in which which deserves empathy. And as
Right.
a creator, it is my duty. It is to ensure that a reader finds something in every single character
Correct.
that is introduced in the book, whether it is a two-page character or a character that runs to 100 pages. You
Right.
have to feel that character. You have to find a part of that character. You have to identify with that character. It'll hold your interest only if you identify with the
Correct.
character. Now,
Yeah.
there is nothing wrong in being able to identify with a person who's a killer, or a victim, or anybody else, because we are all many things. So
Right.
if I achieve that, if the reader feels a sense of identity and empathy with the character, then I think the story is working.
And that was the thing where you said, like, there's nothing wrong with empathizing for whoever the characters are, but throughout the story I was like consciously like I kept thinking, like, oh my god, I'm empathizing more with the killer in the story than anyone else, and I'm actually, like, by the end of it I'm still rooting for her rather than like the cops or the good guys. And that was what I found very interesting. It's like right till the end, it's her that my entire attention was kind of centered on, and that was very, very interesting for me.
No, that was totally by design.
Okay.
It was totally by design, because usually that's what I meant when I said that the fluidity of what is concerned, what is considered to be morally correct behavior.
Yeah.
The code of ethics.
Yeah.
That this is who you're supposed to like, and this is who you're supposed to not like.
Yeah.
This is what is good, this is what is not good. And if I as a creator have made you do something which you would otherwise not do, and then I would think I've got something right somewhere because it was by intention. I was creating a character who actually should not be likable, but I wanted to make her likable. So it's actually a dark tale, very told very lightly. My intention was to entertain my readers. I chose to write something which was very fast-paced and which had a lot of content and a lot of surprises packed in a very in a very short space. Some of the chapters don't last for even just go 3 pages or 4 pages.
Exactly.
And things shift. Yeah.
Correct.
So it's a conscious style I've tried to develop. I hope it works.
Yeah. Coming to the plot, when you said that there were so many things that were going on, and there were some things like which I had never actually heard of, which was the whole selling the kill tapes on the dark web, as well as there's a kind of like a spiritual martial arts aspect also, which has been introduced in the book. So what did you have to do to kind of bring this into a sort of believable Indian story?
You accepted the story. The reason why a lot of readers accept and flow with the story is because it is at the edge of reality. Even if it is a layperson who has not who has not done any research about the dark web or
Yeah.
about these things, you know that this
Yeah.
is a possibility. You know that this could be happening or this could have happened.
Correct.
It is that edge of reality factor which is making it which is really a hook. I spoke to a lot of people. I did a lot of research on the internet. I never came across a case of this kind in reality.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is well conceived and one can't find it on, but I hope not.
Yeah, exactly. I hope not either. I hope this actually doesn't exist in reality. I just wanted to ask a few questions about you as an author. So, when was it that you said that you used to write screenplays, and you've always written in that sense, but when was it that you decided to kind of write a book or become a published author? Was there any like kind of aha moment where you're like, okay, I'm going to do this? Was there anything like that for you, or how did you decide?
See, more than a decade ago, there was a seed concept which was developed by my business partner. He's a Bollywood director, Mani Shankar, and me,
Right.
which had a snuff film at its center. The seed concept that was there was very good, but it could not be translated into anything.
Right.
And I felt that to do it full justice, there is one thing which is a seed, and there's another thing which is a full-blown body of work.
Correct.
These two are, millions of miles away from each other.
Correct.
Now, what happens is that to be able to do justice to the story, I realized I could not do it I could not do it as a film.
Right.
But it was a powerful story. It was a very entertaining story.
Yeah.
And it was a very challenging story to tell. Right. So I felt compelled to write it. And the moment I started writing it, I realized that when you write a screenplay or when you write for a film and when you write for a book, they're very different from each other. Yeah. But in some ways very different, in some ways not so different. Right. The book gave me the liberty to go into a layer which allowed me to really freak out with the way I wanted to tell the story. Develop it in so many ways.
Correct.
And and honestly, I didn't have to pull punches. I didn't have to make compromises about
budget.
बजट भी सोचना नहीं पड़ता था कि अरे ये लैंग्वेज ज्यादा होगा कम होगा गालियां दे ना. I didn't have to it was in a way it was a freedom, and then I could genuinely do justice to the way in which I wanted to treat the plot and treat the characters. Yeah. And bring out the best and the worst in each of them. I wrote with the freedom of I like what I'm writing. I enjoy it. Yeah. I want to tell the story the way I want to tell it, and then let me see what happens. But yeah, at the back of my mind, eventually it was, by the time I finished writing the book, I was very clear that this has to be published. As a novel. It's not going to just sit there and with the hope that someday it will turn into a film. It's going to be published as a book. Yeah.
I'm glad you did that actually, because who knows about like movies? I don't know. I don't know that world that well, but as a book, it definitely works. So thank you that you published it. Much. And lastly, maybe you can just tell everyone who's watching right now where they can buy your book, and if there's just a one-line kind of thing you want to say about why they should buy Raptor Rising.
The book is available on Amazon worldwide and on Kindle, of course. And the paperback is also out in stores in India. So you could probably go to a store in your city or your town and pick up one, and at the airport when airports open.
Yes.
And function properly. If I had to describe Raptorizing in three words, I would say it is unpredictable, it is unstoppable, and it is unashamed. It
Yeah.
is a ride. It's a superb, entertaining, kick-ass ride
Yes.
from the first page to the last. So it's something that you can totally enjoy and get if you want to skim the surface.
Yeah.
And if you are tuned to looking deeper, there is a depth
Yeah.
which you can dive into. So, whatever your taste as a reader, whether you enjoy something that is light and which you can put aside after the book is closed, if that's your style, it'll work for you.
Yeah.
If that's not your style, and if you like to brew in the characters and the plots and the possibilities and why this happened and why there is a lot, there's a whole structure underneath the surface, which you will also find very satisfying.
Yes.
I think it's a good read, though I say it myself.
No, I agree with you. It definitely is a good read.
And I really enjoyed myself. I realized when you create something out of joy,
yes,
it translates into, it carries into the people who are at the receiving end of it.
Correct.
So it's the spirit behind it also that, translates.
Exactly. But thank you so much, Anjali, for coming here and talking to me, and also for writing this fabulous book. Like I said, links in the description on where you can get Raptor Rising. It's exactly like how Anjali described it, is unputdownable and will keep you at the edge of your seat. So definitely check it out. Links will be in the description. But thank you, Anjali, again so much.
Thank you so much. It's been great fun talking to you.
Yes.
And I'm really happy you like the book.
Yes. Yes. And I'm looking forward to the sequel whenever it comes out.